Nathan Pierce was freezing to death in the Colorado mountains when he heard the search and rescue teams calling. The person approaching him was Elena Torres, the woman he had rejected 15 years ago, saying, "You don't fit my dreams." And now she was his only chance of survival. Nathan Pierce stood on the terrace of his luxury mountain home in Colorado Springs, sipping his morning coffee while admiring the magnificent view of the Rocky Mountains. The 42-year-old millionaire CEO had gifted himself this weekend getaway to celebrate Pierce Technology Solutions' success. The company's IPO had broken records, and Nathan's personal wealth had doubled overnight. From his mountain home, he could see the peak of Pikes Peak, and Nathan planned to visit there today. Though not an experienced mountaineer, he enjoyed hiking on marked trails with good equipment and GPS. These outdoor activities served as his escape from his stressful business life. Nathan's assistant Jennifer had suggested a professional guide when organizing his weekend program, but Nathan had rejected this idea. He preferred exploring on his own, wanting to maintain his independence. Keeping control in every area of his life was one of the cornerstones of his success. At 9 a.m., Nathan left his mountain home fully equipped. He carried professional hiking boots, waterproof jacket, GPS device, emergency bag, and 2 days' worth of food supplies. His plan was simple: follow the Garden of the Gods trail and return during the day. Colorado's weather forecast warned of sudden showers and snowfall for the afternoon, but Nathan was accustomed to such warnings. Mountain climate was variable, and experienced hikers prepared accordingly. He considered himself sufficiently experienced. The first 3 hours passed without problems. Nathan followed the marked trail, gained altitude, and took photographs of breathtaking views. He regularly checked his GPS and recorded his position. Everything was going according to plan, and he was pleased with himself. At noon, the weather began to change suddenly. Clouds gathered rapidly, and the temperature dropped dramatically. Nathan checked his emergency radio and received severe storm warnings. It was time to turn back. However, on the return journey, Nathan took the wrong trail. GPS signal weakened due to thick clouds, and Nathan couldn't accurately determine his position. Familiar landmarks became invisible, and he found himself in a completely unknown area. When snowfall began, Nathan took the situation seriously. Snowstorms in Colorado during this season could be life-threatening. He began searching for shelter, but the trail was leading him to an unfamiliar, unmarked area. When night fell, Nathan tried to build shelter among the rocks. His emergency bag contained a metallic blanket and some food, but it wasn't sufficient to survive the freezing cold night. His phone couldn't get signal, and GPS had become completely useless. The first night was the hardest night of Nathan's life. Temperature dropped below zero, and wind speed reached 50 miles per hour. His metallic blanket saved him from death, but he could do nothing but shiver until morning. The next day, Nathan continued searching for help. His energy was beginning to diminish, and he was feeling the early symptoms of hypothermia. His water reserves were nearly depleted, and his food would last only one more day. The seriousness of the situation could no longer be denied. The search and rescue operation began when it was understood that Nathan hadn't returned. His mountain home's security system had recorded that he hadn't returned home at night, and in the morning Jennifer had called and couldn't reach him. The police department and mountain rescue service were activated. Elena Torres, leader of Colorado Springs Mountain Rescue Service, noticed a familiar name when receiving a briefing about the missing hiker named Nathan Pierce. Could this be Nathan Pierce who had left her life 15 years ago? But right now, this wasn't a personal matter, it was a life-saving operation. Elena was an experienced search and rescue expert. For 20 years, she had been finding missing people and saving lives in the Colorado mountains. Managing search and rescue operations in harsh weather conditions was her area of expertise. This operation seemed like one of her routine missions. Search teams began systematic scanning starting from Nathan's last known position. Drones, thermal cameras, and trained search dogs were used. Weather conditions were challenging, but Elena's team was trained for these types of challenges. On the second day, Nathan's condition became critical. Hypothermia symptoms intensified, his coordination deteriorated, and his thinking ability decreased. He no longer had the strength to move and could feel death approaching. Nathan thought about his achievements at the company, the wealth he had accumulated, his social status. None of these were helping him now. Against nature's wild power, his millions, his technology empire, his luxury lifestyle carried no meaning. He thought of Elena Torres for the first time in 15 years. Back then, Elena was a nature photographer, living a simple life, preferring to spend time in the mountains. When Nathan had proposed to her, he had found Elena's lifestyle too ordinary. "You don't fit my dreams," he had told Elena. "I want to achieve big things. Live in the city, build an empire. You're content with just taking photographs in the mountains." Elena's heart had been broken, and their relationship had ended that night. Now Nathan understood how valuable that ordinary lifestyle actually was. Elena had wilderness survival skills and knew the mountains. Right now he needed Elena's knowledge, her survival skills. On the morning of the third day, Elena's team had narrowed down Nathan's possible location. Based on thermal drone images and search dogs' findings, they had focused on a specific area. Elena was personally scanning that area with the advanced team. Nathan was now on the edge of losing consciousness. His body temperature had dropped to critical levels, and his heart rate had slowed. He began hearing human voices but wasn't sure if they were hallucinations. "Nathan! Nathan Pierce!" The voices were real and getting closer. Nathan tried to shout with all his strength, but the sound that emerged was very weak. He tried to move his metallic blanket so it would shine in the sunlight. When Elena found Nathan, she immediately assessed the seriousness of the situation. Severe hypothermia. Probably hadn't eaten properly for 48 hours. Signs of dehydration. She immediately began applying first aid protocols. When Nathan's eyes opened, the first thing he saw was Elena's face. Seeing her after 15 years was a surreal experience. Elena had aged but looked stronger, more confident. She was wearing professional rescue equipment and managing a life-saving operation. "Nathan, it's Elena. Stay calm. We've come to rescue you." Elena's voice was professional but warm. She had set aside their personal history, focusing only on patient care. "We're going to get you out of here, but first we need to raise your body temperature." Nathan tried to speak, but words wouldn't come out. Elena wrapped him in survival blankets and began giving him warm soup. Her team had called for a helicopter for evacuation, but weather conditions didn't allow helicopter landing. "We'll need to walk out of here," Elena said. "It'll be difficult, but you can do it. I'll help you." There was recognition in Nathan's eyes, but Elena ignored this. Right now, the priority was saving a life. Elena began the descent, carrying Nathan on her back. Other team members carried equipment and cleared the route. Elena's physical strength and endurance surprised Nathan. The woman he had seen as weak 15 years ago was now literally carrying his life on her back. During the descent, Elena continued talking to Nathan to maintain his consciousness. 15 years ago, you told me survival skills weren't necessary. How do you feel now?" But she said this with kindness, not revenge. Nathan's recovery process began in the hospital. While receiving treatment for severe hypothermia, he constantly thought about Elena's life-saving efforts. He now understood how wrong his judgments from 15 years ago had been. Elena visited him once in the hospital as part of professional follow-up. Nathan tried to apologize, but Elena said, "What's in the past stays in the past. You are a different person. I was a different person. What matters is that you recover now." Nathan examined Elena's website, her career in mountain rescue service, the awards she had received, the lives she had saved. Elena had become exactly who she had dreamed of being, but Nathan hadn't been able to see or appreciate this 15 years ago. Elena was married, had 2 children, and was living a happy life with a man who worked in nature conservation. Nathan's rejection hadn't destroyed her. It had made her stronger. She had charted her own path and built a meaningful life. Nathan's success at Pierce Technology now seemed empty. Money, fame, luxury possessions, none of these had been useful in the mountains. Elena's simple life was actually much more valuable. Real skills, meaningful relationships, genuine contribution to society. During the recovery period, Nathan began making fundamental changes. He reduced his role at the company and devoted more time to outdoor activities. He took wilderness survival courses and learned to appreciate Elena's expertise. Nathan wrote a personal letter to Elena, but didn't send it. The weight of the mistake he had made 15 years ago was on him, but he had no right to interfere with Elena's life. Elena had moved on and was happy. He directed Pierce Technology's corporate social responsibility program toward wilderness conservation and search and rescue training. He could provide indirect support to Elena's work and do penance for his past mistakes. Now, when Nathan climbed mountains, he thought of Elena. He had understood that the simple life he had rejected 15 years ago was actually sophisticated and meaningful. Elena was a real hero who saved lives and protected nature. The mountains had taught Nathan humility. Money and power were meaningless against nature's force. The skills and dedication of people like Elena were what really mattered. Nathan finally understood what true value meant. The search and rescue operation had revealed more than just Nathan's physical location in the Colorado wilderness. Elena's professional competence during the rescue had forced Nathan to confront the fundamental errors in judgment that had shaped his life choices and priorities for the past 15 years. During his hospital recovery, Nathan learned through news coverage about Elena's extensive experience and recognition in search and rescue operations. She had apparently specialized in wilderness emergency response throughout her career, coordinating successful rescues that had saved dozens of lives in challenging mountain conditions. Elena's expertise was evident, not only in the technical aspects of his rescue, but also in her leadership of the search and rescue team, her calm professionalism under extreme stress, and her ability to make life-or-death decisions with confidence built through years of similar operations. The contrast between Elena's meaningful career and Nathan's wealth accumulation was stark and undeniable. While he had focused entirely on building financial success and defeating business competitors, she had dedicated her professional life to serving others and protecting people who ventured into dangerous wilderness environments. Nathan realized that Elena had not only survived his rejection, but had flourished in ways he had never imagined possible when he dismissed her lifestyle as too simple and incompatible with his ambitious goals. She had built exactly the kind of purposeful career that brought satisfaction and significance to her daily work. The wilderness skills that Nathan had once viewed as hobbies or distractions had proven to be life-saving expertise when applied in emergency situations. Elena's knowledge of mountain terrain, weather patterns, survival techniques, and rescue protocols had been developed through years of dedicated study and practical experience. More significantly, Elena's choice to pursue search and rescue work rather than seeking wealth or social status had resulted in a career that directly contributed to others' welfare and safety. Her professional achievements were measured in lives saved rather than profits generated or market share captured. Nathan's business empire had continued operating successfully during his absence, proving that his company could function effectively without his constant oversight and control. The deals he had considered critical were completed by competent associates, and the world had not stopped turning because he was temporarily unreachable. This realization forced Nathan to confront uncomfortable questions about his own indispensability and the true significance of his professional contributions. Pierce Technology generated wealth for shareholders and provided useful services, but it had never directly saved anyone's life or protected people from immediate physical danger. The Search and Rescue Foundation that Nathan established in the months following his rescue was administered anonymously, providing funding for training programs and equipment purchases that would help mountain rescue teams perform their crucial work more effectively. Nathan never attempted to contact Elena personally or to rebuild any kind of relationship beyond the professional interaction they had shared during his rescue operation. He understood that she had created a meaningful life with her husband and children, and he had no right to complicate the happiness she had found. But the memory of Elena's competence and dedication during those critical hours in the Colorado mountains served as a constant reminder of the path he had chosen and the person he had lost through his own narrow vision of success and achievement. Elena had become exactly what she had dreamed of becoming during their time together 15 years earlier, while Nathan had achieved financial success at the cost of personal meaning and authentic contribution to others' welfare. Her rejection of his marriage proposal had ultimately saved her from a life that might have limited her potential and prevented her from developing the skills that now saved lives. The CEO, who had been lost in the mountains and rescued by Elena Torres, learned more than wilderness survival during those frightening days of exposure and hypothermia. He discovered the difference between success and significance, between accumulation and contribution, between building wealth and building character. Elena's example of dedicated service and life-saving expertise had shown Nathan that true value came from what you gave to others rather than what you accumulated for yourself, and that the most important achievements were those that served humanity rather than just advancing personal interests and financial goals. The woman Nathan had rejected for not fitting his dreams had ultimately taught him what dreams were worth pursuing, and her rescue of his life had also rescued him from a life measured only by money and status, showing him possibilities for meaning and purpose that his wealth alone could never provide.